Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's discussion from Bhagavad Gita as it is, by His Divine Grace, Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. At the moment we are covering chapter 12, which is the devotional service, and we have done up to verses 7 so far, and today we'll be doing verses 8 to 12. So Krishna is giving us the knowledge all about devotional service. How do we do it? Verse 8, Mayeva mana adhatasva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivasasyasi mayeva at urdhvam na samshayaha. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me, thus you will live in me always without a doubt. Verse 9, Atah chittam samadhatum na shaknoshi mahi sthiram abhyasa yogena tato mamichhaptum dhananjaya. My dear Arjun, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. Verse 10, Abhyase apya samarthosi mat karma paramo bhava madarthamapi karmani kurvanna siddhim vapsyasi. One who is not, if you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me. Because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Verse 11, Athe tad apyashaktosi kartum madayogamashritah sarvakarm phal tyagam tatah kuru yatatmavan. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. Verse 12, Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasa ajnanad dhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karm phal tyagastyaga gachanti aranantaram. If you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. Better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action, for by such renunciation one can attain peace of mind. In the first 7 verses of this chapter, devotional service, Krishna has been telling us all about the worship of the personal form. And now Krishna, from verses 8, is giving us all the choices that how we do it. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatam ham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramat So in text 8 to 12, it's all about the progressive stages of the bhakti, that how we progress from one stage to the other. This is what we'll be hearing from the Lord, and Lord will be telling us that bhakti can be practiced at many levels, at multiple levels. As they say, we have to offer our mind to Krishna, and that is the highest level of bhakti. Krishna says that we have to just fix our minds upon Krishna and engage all our intelligence in Krishna. Then we will be able to live in Krishna without a doubt. So we have to offer our mind to Krishna. we have to understand that we don't actually live where our gross body is, we live where our subtle body is. Subtle body is mind, intelligence, and ego. And so our subtle body is the one which needs to be with Krishna, with the Lord all the time. So we have to offer our mind to Krishna and intelligence as well. And when we would have offered our mind and intelligence to Krishna, we'll have got some sort of we would have conquered our ego somehow that way, and thus thereby we can live in Krishna. So engaging in the devotional service of the Lord is the direct service of the Lord, and Lord is transcendental in his position. We know that if we will be offering ourselves totally to Krishna, our mind and intelligence, then we'll be living in a way where Krishna lives in that plane. And we know for this age, we've been told the name and form of the Lord are not different. The name is itself the abode of the Lord in this yuga. So we have to chant the holy names of the Lord, and they should be on our minds, and we should be chanting them all the time. We should be offering the bhoga to the Krishna. We should offer what Krishna likes. So when we know that, we will be also eating what Krishna likes. We won't be just eating anything else, because we want to have the mercy of Krishna. And we know that the vegetables and grains, they were all living objects one time, so living entities are rather to say. So we have to offer them to Lord, so we don't incur any karma upon ourselves. In verse 9, Krishna says to Arjun, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. This way you will attain a desire to do the devotional service of the Lord. So Krishna has given the second choice in verse 9 to us, that if we can't fix our mind totally on Krishna, then we can follow the 4 regulative principles as told in the Shastras, as explained to us by the spiritual master, by Srila Prabhupada, our Shiksha Guru, for all of us, that we can engage ourselves in the practice of the regulative principles. By doing so, we will be able to cultivate a desire to achieve Krishna. By chanting, we can practice the fixing of the mind. Yes, mind will run away, mind will go here and there, but we'll have to practice again and again. Like in chapter 6, Krishna was telling us, Abhyasena tu Kaunteya. You have to practice again and again. And if it keeps going away like a naughty child, you have to bring it back again and again. But we don't let it go. Then it stays where we want to stay. We want our mind to stay in the remembrance and service of the Lord. Then slowly the mind will become fixed. Because we are in the material existence, so our minds are always impure, and it's always engaged in one or another kind of sense gratification. By the practice of Bhakti Yoga, gradually we will be able to purify it and be able to bring it to the service of the Lord, and engage ourselves also, and also follow the rules and regulations, and serve our spiritual master as well. So we have to practice the sadhana bhakti to fix the mind on Krishna and thereby increase our desire for the Lord. That love for the Lord is dormant in everyone's heart. Lord is there in the Paramatma aspect within ourselves, within our hearts. It's just it's covered with the impurities of life after life of the material existence. So we have to just come above it, and this is only going to happen with the devotional service of the Lord. So by practice, we will slowly, steadily, we'll be able to win the war against our own mind in this practice of Bhakti Yoga. In verse 10, Krishna is giving us a third option. Krishna says, okay, if you don't have time to follow the rules and regulations, then go to some congregation programs of the temple or some house programs. You can go to those programs, the morning programs or the evening programs or the Sunday programs. You can go and listen to the classes. In the mornings there are Bhagavatam classes, in the evening there's Bhagavad Gita. In the day of digital advancement, we can have the facility of hearing these lectures wherever we are on our smartphones and on the other devices, and we can offer our services there in those programs or in the temple. We can help in the cooking, in the cleaning, in serving the devotees, in serving the prasadam, or there are so many services in the temple. There's garland making, so in the book distribution, in the Harinam Sankirtan. So there's loads of services where we can find one or the other service which appeals to our nature, and we can serve the Lord. So this is the third option God has given us in verse 10. The direct services that do Lord's work, render service to Lord, and the indirect is to offer Lord the fruits of your own work. So third option God has given us, that if we can't practice the rules and regulations of bhakti, we find it difficult, then we can do some work for Lord. God says that. So God has so nicely explained us how we can do the devotional service. In 3 types we can perform that to us so far. And God's work is to distribute God's name and distribute the bhakti to others. That is the God's work, and that makes you very favorable to Lord. And in verse 11, Krishna says, okay, if you have got no time at all, because we will always find that there will be some entities or some jivas who will be saying that they don't have no time at all. So Krishna has given choice for them as well. So Krishna says that if you, however, are unable to work in this consciousness like described in verse 8, then Krishna says, in verse 10, Krishna says, then give up all the results of your work and try to be self-situated. Become Atmavan. So if you've got so many problems, you say the family objects you taking up the devotional service, family doesn't want you to do that, family, or there are other social or other constraints which are keeping you away from the performing of the devotional service to the Lord. Then Lord says that you can always give up all the results of all your works, and you can just offer that to Krishna. For example, someone who is not able to do, who is not interested in any kind of Krishna consciousness activities, they give some charity to some kind of hospital or schools or something, some other social causes. So they are actually giving up the fruits of their own activities. So this way as well, their minds will be purified slowly, and they'll be able to come to the Krishna consciousness eventually. In verse 18.46 Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yataha pravrittir bhutanam, if one decides to sacrifice for the supreme cause, even if he does not know that supreme cause is Krishna, he will come gradually to understand that Krishna is the supreme cause by the sacrificial method. And in verse 12, Lord is giving us another option. Lord is saying that if you cannot take to this practice, the practice of verse 11, which was to offer you the fruits of your labor to Krishna, of your work to Krishna, then Krishna says that you can engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. And Krishna further says that better than knowledge, however, is meditation, and better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action, for by such renunciation one can attain peace of mind. So Krishna is explaining the final option to us in verse 12. So by our daily work also we can also, and by the cultivation of our knowledge for Krishna, we can also find some peace of mind. By renunciation of the fruits of our action. So if you can't fix your mind on Krishna, if you can't follow the regulative principles of bhakti as told by the spiritual master, as given in the scriptures, then the third option is to cultivate knowledge for Krishna, renounce the results of your work, and if you can actually get some knowledge for Krishna, Krishna says you can try to develop some kind of meditation, and by that meditation, that means chanting of the names and fixing your mind on the names of the Lord. Then you can, because we know, as we keep saying, and it's written as well, that in the Kali Yuga, Lord lives in his name itself. So the name of the Lord is non-different than the Lord. So by developing meditation, gradually we'll be able to understand the Lord, and when we understand the Lord, then what's going to happen? If you can't do any other kind of devotional service, you can meditate on Lord's name. And then this way, whichever varnashram we are situated in, whether we are brahmanas, kshatriyas, vaishyas or shudras, what kind of jobs we are doing, it means that it doesn't just mean that which of the four varnas we were born into. These varnas mean hereby what kind of jobs we are doing, what kind of occupations we are doing in relation to the Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishyas and Shudras. And when we are able to give up the results of our labor in these jobs, then we are using the results in some for some good causes, then that is also a kind of renunciation, and that will bring us a lot of peace in our heads, in our minds. And when mind is happy, we know everything is peaceful. And we know that Arjun is already in the stage of the loving devotional service to the Lord, and others who are not, Lord has given us a gradual process of how to renounce and to knowledge, to acquire the knowledge, and to meditate, and then to realize the super soul, that is the Lord within ourselves. How we can be able to gaze within ourselves, to have the darshans of the Lord, and realize the super soul. Then Brahman will follow. We will understand the Brahman as well, that the effulgence of the Lord, and then behind that effulgence is the Lord himself, the form of the Lord. So who is covering the effulgence of the Lord? Brahman is all. The Lord is covered by all the effulgence, the Brahman, and it is all the Maya which is covering. And by devotional service, slowly this cover will be taken away from our eyes, and we will be able to have the darshan of the Lord. So in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada is again reminding us, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna actually is asking us to take the direct method to serve him, which is by surrendering to the Lord, by surrendering to the plans of the Lord, and by making your plan same as what is Krishna's plan, and accepting that. That is how we'll be able to serve him nicely. This is what Krishna stresses again and again to us. But Krishna has given us options also from verses 8 to 12 of the 12th chapter, the devotional service, that how else we can start doing the devotional service to the Lord. So thank you for joining, and we'll continue from verses 13, and this chapter is only 20 verses long. So this is the final chapter, which started from chapter 7 to 12, where Krishna tells all about himself. So any verse you open from the verses 7 to chapter 7 to chapter 12, it's all about Krishna. So each verse is telling us about Krishna. Krishna is in each verse. Like in the first 6 chapters, it was all about us, you and me. And thank you for joining. I wish you all a blissful week ahead in Krishna consciousness. Chant and be happy. Hare Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.